Hey there, it's Olivia-Savannah here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today I'm here to give you my last reading vlog of this 30 books in 30 days challenge. We are very much nearing the end and we're gonna win. We're gonna do this. So let's read some books. So today is day 25 of the challenge. As I mentioned yesterday, I was going to skip yesterday's vlogging because I wanted a day off and I was chilling with friends. So I did, but I also finished a book that day. So the book that I finished was The Undying of Obedience Wellrest by Nicholas Boulding. This is a middle grade, like a young adult kind of spooky mystery vibe, and I already told you about it, what it was about last week, but I read the other half of this and unfortunately this just wasn't one for me, and I don't even think it's that age audience. I'm just a bit tired of the disabled person is the villain, and our female character in this was really unlikable. I just did not like the way that she treated our other main character, because there's two points of view in this, and he reads as autistic and it's not said on the page. I don't even know how I feel about that kind of representation that we just seem to be seeing a lot more. But if you go into historical England, he's the kind of character that would be described as simple, and just the way that he is written reads as autistic, but he also just seems to not get things that most people seem to be getting. So it takes a long time, and there's a lot of the plot that kind of has to be explained to him, even though we as readers get it, which is fine. That's fine if you have characters like that, but just from the way that the female character was treating him, and then also the added thing of we get something but he really is behind on the game, just made me a bit frustrated with the way that the narrative was working. So those were the two elements that I didn't like about this one. I will say also that it was interesting that they kind of made that female character almost as bad as the villain in some ways. I think that adds a lot of nuance and discussion for young teens who are reading this, but it wasn't ticking my boxes. It also wasn't what I wanted going in, because I just wanted something that was heavier on the spookiness, and although it did turn into a kind of dark sci-fi historical fiction, I appreciated that it went there and that the plot was unpredictable and the storyline was unpredictable, but I just wasn't digging it. So this was a kind of middle of the road read for me. But today I actually don't have any plans until the evening when it's the Doctor Who watch along, so I'm just so close to the end now. There's on the train also yesterday I read a bit more of Earthlings. It's over there. Earthlings is really shattering me and tearing me up emotionally. I just had no idea what this book was going to be when I went in. I fully expected it to be like a touch of sci-fi, but it's not. It's not. I wish it was sci-fi. I wish it was sci-fi. And I just finished reading chapter 2, which puts me like a third of the way through the book. There's two topics that I don't enjoy reading, one of which I can read it but I don't enjoy it, and that is cheating, and I've mentioned that several times before on my channel. The other one I mention less frequently. I will put it as a content warning for this book in the description box down below. I really struggle to read this. It makes me physically sick, especially because of some of the work that I've done in my life. It then proceeded to just tear me up on the inside, and I had to put the quote on Instagram because just high emotions. So I have a potential best book of the year read like this late in the game. I absolutely love it. I just need to keep reading the book because it's a tough one. It's like under 300 pages and I'm already like, oof, okay. But we're not going to read that today because I can literally only read it in small doses, which doesn't bode well when you've got like 5 days left in a reading challenge, but maybe I'll finish it. I am going to be reading Things My Son Needs to Know About the World by Fredrik Backman today. I've already started this. I've read the first 25 pages and I'm just not loving it. I think with this one, I can say that I'm not the audience. And I often struggle to say that because I'm like, girl, I can be any audience you want me to be, but that's not necessarily true. This one I'm struggling with because I am not a dad who has just had a son, okay? I am not a dad who has just had a son. That is okay to admit. And a lot of this humour is dad humour, okay? And it's not funny to me. It's not funny. As I'm reading this, what I keep thinking of is my sister's fiance. Is that my brother-in-law who just had a son? And I'm just thinking, he should read this. He can probably love these things. He can probably appreciate them. I can't. So It is Fredrik Backman though, and I really like his fiction books. So I'm gonna go on a walk, I'm gonna take this book with me, and I'm gonna do a bit of reading outside. It's also not long, it's under 200 pages. It's non-fiction November. I'm just in the mood to just like hammer this one out. Okay, so I just finished reading Things My Son Needs to Tell Me About the World, and I still agree that I'm not the target audience for this book. But what I will say is that last chapter, it kind of got me emotional, okay? It kind of got me emotional because the one thing I can say about this book is that it's so clear and it's so evident that Fredrik Backman adores his wife. Like, the love that he feels for his wife is really shining through this whole book, and the love that he feels for his son is really shining through the whole book. And I guess when you have your first child, you must feel all wrapped up in that sense of love with your new family and with your wife, but you can see that his love for his wife has predated all of that and has been there for a very, very long time. His like son is a new addition into that love. So I do have to say, I enjoyed the fact that you can see that there's so much love in this family unit that they've created and that they are so, so happy together. But all the advice that he gives his son about how to live life, I just didn't particularly care, because it was just not for me. I was just not the age audience. So I really don't know how to rate this. I really don't know what my final review of this is going to be, because it's like, this book is not for me, but that final chapter got me in my feels and was worth reading the whole thing for, because it's literally only 200 pages long, but it's also not a book I would unhaul. So maybe it's higher than a 3-star, I don't know. I don't always give ratings to books immediately. Sometimes I need to think about them. Sometimes I finish a book and then by the time my wrap up comes around, my thoughts have processed and my feelings are processed. I know my ratings, I know how I feel about it. Rather than after I've like reacted and recovered from like a good ending to a mediocre book, or a bad ending to actually a good book. So I've got a more level thought process. But sometimes it takes me months. Like when I reviewed Paradise Lost on my channel, I did not know it was one of my all-time favorites. I literally didn't. I was like, this was 4 stars, it was good. And then by the end of the year, I was like, actually one of the best books I read this year was Paradise Lost, that I gave 4 stars. So sometimes I know my rating immediately, and sometimes I just don't, and that is okay. I've made the tea. So last vlog I pulled out a tea bag from my tea advent calendar and surprise, it was 2 teas instead of 1 tea, but I didn't have time to have that tea in the other vlog, so we're doing that tea today, which is the superfruit tea pigs tea. I'm a big fan of a nice like fruits of the forest, blackberry, like dark berry teas. I really love them, so I'm hoping this will be good. It's a beautiful dark purple color, rich looking, delicious. And then I plan to do some reading. The play that I've started today is All My Sons by Arthur Miller. I read another one of his plays earlier on this month and I just loved it, and I feel like I always forget about how much I adore reading plays and therefore don't buy them enough or get them in enough for me to be as satisfied as I should be, because I literally have not read, like I can't think of the last time I read a really bad play. So it's like plays and poetry, they just don't linger on my TBR for very long, I just read them immediately. And so I'm very excited to read this other one, Arthur Miller, Never Misses, and I actually started reading this, so I've read a few pages into Act 1, so I can actually tell you what it's about for once. So this is a play about this family, and there are a lot of men in this family, and the main guy basically has 2 sons, and from what we know, one of them has gone missing in the war, but it has been 3 years since he's gone missing, and that son like had a wife and also just had a whole life. Their mother adored him and everything, and now he's gone missing and the family just haven't moved on. They haven't been able to live their lives. They're always hoping that he comes back, and because he went missing in action during the war, there's all these notices in the newspaper of someone turning up who's been missing for ages because of the war, and so they've been holding out hope. But now one of the sons, the other son who has survived, has decided it's time to move on. He wants to offer his hand in marriage to his previous brother's ex-wife, I guess you can say, and he just wants them all to start moving on. So that's what this is about, which is of course very emotionally intense, because when someone's missing, like at what point do you switch to mourning? At what point should you or do you give up hope? I can't even imagine what it must be like to be in that situation. So I've got about half an hour before I need to pick up my sister from church, so I'm gonna read this for half an hour, see how far I get. Let's try this tea though for now. That is rich. Okay, so that is super fruity. They weren't kidding when they said super fruit tea. I'm impressed by how fruity that one is. I am comparing a lot of these to the Puka tea, because the Puka tea also has a black beauty tea, but I do prefer the Puka one because it's not as strong, and I think this is just a bit too strong. Like, it's just a bit too sweet. It tastes again like hot Ribena, but it's in a tea, except it's like hot Ribena where you put just a bit too much of the Ribena syrup. So it's really good, but it is just a bit too strong for me. It's a bit too strong, and I haven't even steeped the tea for too long, and for tea pigs tea you do need to steep for quite a while, so I'm going to take that tea bag out because I don't want it getting any stronger. This is a good tea. It's not my favourite I've had from tea pigs, but it's still really nice, and if you want your berry teas to be very strong and sweet, that's what you're going to get from this tea. Right, time to read. Friends, welcome to day 27 of this challenge. I'm so tired. I think I'm gonna have an early night. It's not even 9 p.m. Yesterday was nice. My sister came over. We did my Patreon book club, and we also, like, I made a nice dal for dinner. It was my first time making a dal. Never made one of those before, but both of my sisters enjoyed it, so that's very good. I've worked today, and that was pretty much it. I've done a couple of chores and I've worked, and that's been my day. I also put up an Instagram post where I talked about reclaiming, retransforming my concept of social media success over on Instagram, and specifically looking at the Instagram platform, and that's really been helpful for me. And I've actually started working on revising the ways that I look at YouTube success as well, and measurements on this platform. So, but otherwise I'm here to chat to you about the books. So last I checked in with you, I was still reading All My Sons by Arthur Miller, and I finished it and I enjoyed it. I don't think it was the same level as The View from the Bridge for me, because it was dealing with quite a lot in one play, and I did like how it brought everything together. This one actually had 3 acts, and I liked how it touched on like the dysfunctional family post-war. At some point I just didn't know who to trust in this play, and who was telling me the truth and who wasn't. I do think the female characters had a very interesting role to play. I don't think they were badly depicted, but I do think Arthur Miller has depicted women in a better light before. I don't think I liked the ending. There's something that happens at the very end that kind of, it's literally the closing part of the play, and it closes everything up and it ties everything up, and the ending is conclusive, but I don't think it's the ending that I wanted for this play. I think it ended in a way where I would have liked a bit more commentary on the final actions of the play, if that makes any sense for people who haven't read it. I also had a lot of characters, like quite a few, and usually I can keep up with them quite well in a play, but in this one I was a bit like, and I had to check the character list a little bit more than usual, but it was worth it. I still think it was a very, very good play. Arthur Miller just touches on so many themes and so many discussions, like when do you give up on a missing person? When do you move on? Do you grieve your life? Do you carry the sins of the people who have gone before you, or are you blameless in this situation? And there was a lot in this about ignorance, and the first part of the play even brought up like ignorance and reading the newspaper. So I also found that just such an insightful theme that was threaded all the way through this. Again, it's another one where I could sit into a class and analyse the play, but it was a very good time, and that is book 28 out of 30, which which means we've only got 2 more books to read. And as you know, I've been reading Earthlings while I was traveling, so because I went to work today, I also read a bit more of this. I'm now on chapter 3. The chapters are quite long in this, so being on chapter 3, I am almost at the halfway mark. And it's time jump to when our main character is an adult, and I thought, yes, make her an adult so that she's away from all of these difficult topics that I'm reading about. But no, they're still there, but they're kind of there in a different light, and we get introduced to a new character, and hearing about this new character's past, I was just like, oh my gosh, no, that's so horrible, not again. So, like, not again, but like, I understand, but oh, terrible. So this book is still just an emotional punch in the face, constantly, again and again. Last but not least, I decided to start my last book, or what I hope will be one of the last books I read in this challenge, and that is How to Find a Missing Girl by Victoria Wlosok. And this is a young adult missing mystery kind of book. What I like about this is the overwhelming level of diversity we get in here. You've got a main character who's pansexual, and it's said on the page and it's shown in this book. You've got like characters with 2 mothers. You've got a non-binary character who's one of her close friends in the detective agency she's got going on. So all of this is like woven in together. All of that queer diversity is just brimming through these pages, but at its core this is like a missing person's murder mystery. Her sister went missing a couple years ago, and now her ex-girlfriend has gone missing, and I appreciate the fact that it's her ex-girlfriend who's gone missing, but she still cares about her ex-girlfriend enough to try and find her. But there's a lot of suspending your disbelief for this one. There are a lot of times where there are coincidences, and there's also a lot of just the usual teenage angst. It's hitting the beats of very typical YA, so it's not doing anything new or very refreshing for me, especially when it comes to these young adult murder mysteries where they're trying to solve the case. Oh, I said murder mystery, but I shouldn't say murder because it's still just a missing persons mystery. So this is not Bayview High level for me, because I don't care enough about the characters to be involved in their drama, but to be fair, the Bayview High mysteries don't really go that heavy on the mystery, do they? So it's doing the mystery elements better. I actually only have 150 pages left of this. I've read about 2/3, I would say, and it's good. I don't know if it's going to be very good or if it's just going to be good, but I will finish this book to find out. I'm so tired that I sincerely doubt I'm going to finish a book today, but it does mean I need to finish both Earthlings and How to Find a Missing Girl tomorrow, because even though I've got until November 30th, for the last 2 days in November, I'm leaving my house at 8 AM and I'm probably coming back around 9:30 to 10 PM, so that doesn't leave much time for reading. I just want to say here at the end that I told myself I was going to read the shortest 30 books for my TBR, and I fully have not done that. I have read some very, very short books to help me along, but I've also read books that are over 400 pages or almost 400 pages long. So it's definitely not all been the shortest books, but it's largely been shortest books, or I've done a very good job of mood reading and just giving myself the time and space to read books that I'm in the mood for that are a bit longer than the shortest ones. More passion, more energy, woo! I'm so happy because I just finished my reading challenge. Woo! I'm really happy about this. I sincerely did not think I was going to make 30 books in 30 days, but I did that. And it's day 28. That is day 28, and I finished my 30 books in 30 days challenge. This has never happened before, as I said. For all 3 of the previous occasions that I've done this, I've had to read 3 books on the last day. On all 3 of those occasions. But today I did it, and I don't have to speed read 3 books in a day. So let me talk about the last books that I finished reading for this challenge. They're ones I've updated you on before. On my lunch break today, I finished reading How to Find a Missing Girl by Victoria Wlosok, and I like this. I really like this. I think this is a solid young adult murder, missing girl, thriller kind of book. If that's a genre you like, you are going to like this one. And if you actually care about the mystery, you're going to enjoy this even more than Bayview High, because what's fun about this one is that the mystery is actually better, the mystery is actually good, but also the stakes are quite high. and it goes places. Like, these characters sincerely go through things to get to where they are at the end. And while it's got the typical high school dramas beat for beat that you kind of expect, it does have like super queer characters, and it's just nice to see that queerness and diversity getting to bring what they bring to the forefront of this book. The ending was satisfying. I have realized that reading golden era or like golden circle mysteries like Agatha Christie, like Niall Marsh, has ruined me a little bit for the murder mystery genre, because I am used to having detectives that are so good at what they do that they solve the mystery at the end and they waltz in and they explain things to everyone else, and then you're like, oh, I didn't see this, or oh, I predicted this, and it's the detective that does the explaining. But in this one, the detectives are amateur teenage detectives. They don't solve everything, so you do fall into that thing that I'm seeing quite a lot in young adult thrillers and mysteries, where the villain has to tell you all of the things that they planned, because surprise, it's not who they thought it was, and like there's a lot that has to be told to them that they don't manage to solve. And that's just how the young adult murder mystery genre seems to go from what I've seen and understood so far, and it bothers me, probably because so many of the murder mysteries I've read has a really good detective at its core that actually solves the mystery. Or at least adult fiction seems to do that. Anyway, beside the point, even though it wasn't perfect and there were things like the villain having to explain things and there were the usual beats that I find a bit overdone in young adult murder mysteries, I still really had a good time and I had a lot of fun, and that's why I pick up this genre. I pick it up to have fun, to have a good time, and How to Find a Missing Girl gave me that. This was book 29 out of 30. But the last book that I just finished in my Patreon reading sprints was Earthlings by Sayaka Murata. This is the cover of it. This did not give me happy vibes. This is the strangest book I have ever read. It's so strange. It's so not what I thought it was. I don't even know if I can accurately explain to you the ways, the places that this book went to. Is it science fiction? No, I actually don't think it is. Is it a literary fiction with like speculative metaphor on it? Yes. Is it a horror book? Arguably also yes, okay? So just realize that with this one, you're getting quite a bit of genre meshing. The character development, can I call it that? I don't know. The themes, I really like the themes in this. So there's a lot of themes about like capitalism and how we fall into normative relationships in terms of sex and physical content being a normalized view of what a relationship should contain, whether that's right, whether that's wrong. Then it goes into all of these ways in which we've normalized elements of society and whether that's right or whether that's wrong. And sometimes when I was reading this book, I was absolutely disgusted, like stomach churningly disgusted. There is body gore, there are some really horrible things that happen in this book, but then sometimes I was laughing because there's an element of like black comedy satirical humor in this that is also prevalent, and it disturbed me that I was reading these really dark, horrible things and then laughing in the next chapter, but none of it felt inappropriate. It was just where the story was taking you at that time. And I got to the end and I was like, what on earth is this? What on earth did I just read? I think I liked it, but does that make me disturbed for saying that I like this book? I do not know. I need to think about this more. But this was book 30 out of 30. How satisfying it is to say that. So this vlog is going to end here. I hope you enjoyed being on this journey with me. As soon as I get these edited and shared, I'm going to pour myself a very well-deserved glass of wine and take myself to bed. Every time I do this challenge, I think I'm never going to do it again, but you know what? This was actually good fun, and now that I know I can do it while I'm working, the options are endless. Please let me know in the comment section down below, what is the strangest book you have ever read? Let me know. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. And you know what they say, onwards and upwards, Excelsior.